Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Crissy Piper, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior podcast. Every week I'm super excited about my guest, but this week I'm really excited to finally be having this conversation with my guest because I've known her and I've wanted to have her on because, I'm sure you all know that person that whenever you meet them, they are just so full of energy. They just radiate positivity, and just being around them makes you feel so good. And that's how I feel about my guest today. So let me introduce to you Alexi Posner. Am I saying that right, or is it Posner?
Posner, but yeah, that's okay. Everyone mispronounces it all the time.
Well, what's so funny is that I don't think I've ever said your last name out loud. So there you go. Okay. So Alexi Posner founded AP Brand Group, a boutique athlete and talent management agency in September of 2016. Alexi got her start after attending Franklin and Marshall College at the Lancaster Barnstormers baseball team and quickly moved up the ranks to head the public relations and player branding for the team. After the Barnstormers, Alexi transitioned to a role within the Reading Fightin' Phillies, the AA affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies, before joining the Philadelphia Flyers ECHL affiliate as the director of marketing and player relations. Alexi spent a full year with the Royals before deciding to make the leap and start her own company. Alexi founded AP Brand Group with the mission that she wanted to work with athletes and talent who were excited to use their platforms to create positive social change. Since its inception, AP Brand Group has continued to grow to work with some of the biggest names in the NFL and on-air talent. Welcome to the podcast, Alexi.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I've always been such a huge fan of yours and everything that you stand for. So it's really an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And right back at you as well, because like I said, I really do, since anytime anyone is ever in your presence, you just radiate this amazing energy and positivity. Aww. And that's why I'm so excited to sort of, really hear your story and hear more about what you're doing, because I know that you're not just a brand and talent management agency. You really are working towards like social change and making this world a better place. So why don't you first tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for that amazing introduction. That's so nice. Yeah, so I grew up in the Philadelphia area. I grew up on the main line, went to Friend Central. So straight up my mom's a suburban warrior, if you want to call her that. We are right in this whole brand. And then went to Franklin and Marshall College, and always I grew up riding horses. So I had this kind of feeling like I wanted to be in sport, but always thought I would go and be a veterinarian like my grandfather, who opened up actually all the small animal hospitals on the main line. So like Narberth Animal Hospital, Ardmore, those were all his. And wanted to follow in his footsteps, and got to my junior year of college and was riding very competitively, and organic chem too. And I did not suit well when you mix that with like 4 horses, and it's like a lot happening. So totally change of path, and graduated with a history degree and a minor in religious studies and math, and found myself in sports. So yeah, it was kind of a crazy ride there, but started AP Brand Group in 2016. So it'll be a 5-year anniversary this September, which I'm really excited about. And like you said, the mission of wanting to work with athletes and talent who are excited to use their platform to create positive social change.
Yeah, I think that's so really, it's just so awesome that it's not just about promoting athletes and, on-air talent and famous people, right? Because it's actually using their platform to do some really great stuff in this world. So when obviously leaving a job that you had, you were pretty young, you were only a couple years out of college. So what were your thoughts when you went to start this, new business for yourself and become an entrepreneur? Because becoming an entrepreneur is a scary thing, right? It's a scary thing at any age, but here you are, soon out of college saying, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was 20. I just turned 26. I actually left my job with the Reading Royals, so the Flyers affiliate that I loved. I was like the on-air host. I worked with all the players, and left my job because I had gotten a job working for a gentleman named Lee Steinberg, who's a big NFL agent. He represents Patrick Mahomes, and was super excited to move out to LA and like do this whole thing. And a couple days before I was supposed to move, I got this text saying the opportunity was off the table. And Lee and I are on great terms now. He's a mentor of mine. He's an amazing person. And I sort of was like, oh, shoot, I have two options here. Either like I go and fall and I crumble and I like don't know what happens, or I'm like, look at this as an opportunity versus like, holy shit, my world is over kind of thing. And so, I was lucky enough that both my parents are super supportive, and they were like, move back in, we'll pay for your food and like, make sure you're not out on the street, and we'll take care of you. And so I was like, I think this is the universe telling me like, go do what I've always wanted to do, which is run my own company and start my own thing. And so that's what I did. So I bartended and I worked at a local boutique called Menagerie to pay the bills in the meantime while I started my company. And yeah, it was definitely kind of a crazy move at the age of 26. I wasn't expecting that, but the words that kept ringing in my head were, if not now, then when? And I think that was really powerful to me, because it's kind of like, there will always be a ton of excuses to not do this, to go look for another job with another team or go look for another job doing something else. And it was just kind of like, why not? Like, gamble on yourself. And if you fail, at least you failed on your own terms, not because you never tried it. So yeah, that's how AP Brand Group started.
There's like so much there that I want to unpack, because there's first the fact that, you get a rejection basically saying like, oh, we thought you were moving to LA, but no jobs available there. And to your point, like you could have completely crumbled, said, oh my God, what do I do? Or, maybe went and groveled for your old job back, right? But you knew that you were ready to move on. You were ready to do something else. So you just took a gamble on yourself, which is amazing. And I also think another thing that you said is it's really special that you heard, something that you said kept resonating, if not now, then when. But I think like a lot of people have that voice or, have something telling them, but they don't follow it. They think it's just something in them that they push it away. And I think it's really special that you heard that and you listened to that intuition, right? That inner guidance.
Yeah. It's, I get told all the time, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. And I'm like, yeah, yes, absolutely. Like, thank you so much. I feel so blessed. Like last weekend I was at I got invited to go to Dave Chappelle's house with like Michael Che, who's on Saturday Night Live, and Bill Murray, and like all these cool people. And you're like kicking it there and you're like, what the shit? This is my life. Like, this is crazy. And like, I get told all the time, like, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. And I'm like, it is that. And also like, it's not being afraid of failure. Like, I think when you're in your flow and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, like doors do open, or maybe it's a small window and you kind of crawl up and then find the hole there, like you kind of like the right things do fall into place, but it does come. The biggest thing is overcoming that state of like, I can't fail. It's like, no. Failure is 1,000% going to happen. Mess ups are going to happen, but it's like knowing that you can kind of push through that and just have to keep believing in yourself and believing that the right things are going to come and like you're going to get taken care of the way it's supposed to if you put the right energy, effort, and attitude forward with it. So that's where that if not
and energy, effort, and attitude, and the right energy, effort, and attitude. That is so great, because that's exactly what it takes. And I would think, especially for you in your job, because the story that you were just talking about, not only believing in yourself and being okay with failure, but you're also failing with like famous people. You're like, you know what I mean? You're like you might fail with like people that are like super famous and you're like looking around like, oh my gosh, how is this my life? Like that. I think that takes a lot of courage.
Thank you. Yes. And I also just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like, I really felt like I don't believe in no, that's not true. I believe in people. I believe in a lot of other people, but I'm like, of anything, I'm going to bet on myself, and I'm going to and I hold myself accountable. And when I mess up, I think the thing is that I'll sit there and I go, okay, what did I learn from this? You like focus on it, you move, and then like you get the lesson and you move forward. And I don't try to like hone too deeply on like past failures. I try to learn from it, move on, and keep going versus like have that rear view mirror mentality to things. And I think that's allowed me to sort of shift and deal with like super famous people to like amazing local entrepreneurs. And ultimately kind of flipping back to something, the mission of my company is like, I just wanted to work with people who care, who are passionate, who are excited, and who realize that they're here for a greater purpose. And so whether you are a local boutique, which I still work with, my first ever client, Hope Chest Main Line, that's based in Haverford.
I love Hope
It's been
Chest
almost
Main
5
Line.
years. We love them. Like they're the best. I'm still with them. To, Jaleel White, who is a sort of icon. They're all people that are just genuinely amazing individuals that want to use their platform for the greater good and don't lead with like the financial side of it. And I think that allows for good stuff to happen. I'm not sure where that tangent came from, but there you go.
No, that's okay. No,
the extra coffee kicked in. So I'm like,
no, I love it. I love it. So you were talking about sort of about failure and believing in yourself. Is there something that happened, whenever throughout the course of building this business that was a challenge that felt big enough that you paused or stopped in your tracks, or something that comes to mind where there was a situation that you had to overcome, and how did you do that?
Yeah. I felt like I hit a lot more doors prior to me starting my company. I felt like I was constantly misunderstood. And what I didn't understand at that point in time was like, that was really the universe being like, yo, you're not doing what you are supposed to be doing. There is a greater purpose for you here. Like, and not that there's anything wrong with working for the Flyers or the Phil. Like those are dope, amazing jobs, but it wasn't what my purpose was and my calling was. And so I constantly was like, why do people think this about me? Like, this is so weird. That's not how I meant to land on people. Like, what is going on? And it wasn't until I started my own company that I feel like people saw me for my true intention. And I was like, oh, window open, door open. Here we go. It all is happening. But I definitely did there's been a lot of obstacles along the way. And one of them, I worked on a big book deal for Akbar Bajabiamila, who hosts American Ninja Warrior. And it was this huge ramp up to this book. And we thought it was going to completely sell out and do amazing. And it didn't. It flopped. Not because the book wasn't good. The book is awesome. And we tried so hard, but I learned a lot of lessons. Like I didn't have the right tools. I didn't have the right team. I tried to take on way too much and just do the whole tour and do the whole PR and everything myself. And cut to 2 years later, we just launched Jaleel White's cannabis line this past 420. It sold out in 10 minutes everywhere that it dropped. Our entire website sold out. The site crashed. But it was because of that first experience where I had to take a hard look in the mirror and go, yeah, you really did not do a good job. You could have done better and you didn't let people help you. And I totally failed. And then learn that lesson and move and take it forward to this last one. And then I'm like, okay, all right, we good. Like, this is awesome. So that would be, I'd say like, that was a definite moment for me.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think it takes a lot to be able to be introspective about it and see that it might be some things that you may have done wrong. And then to not crumble and say, okay, I'm terrible at this. I need to find something else to do with my life because I'm not, because I think that as human beings and especially as women, we tend to kind of really be hard on ourselves when we fail. And so, okay, so you mentioned Jaleel White's cannabis line, but there was something like, so I follow you on Instagram and I see what's the deal with the waffle maker? What is that?
Okay. So
is that like something he sells? I'm so curious. For my listeners, by the way, Jaleel White, if you don't know, is Urkel, right? From
Family Matters.
Family Matters. Yeah. So, which, who doesn't love Urkel? So now he has a cannabis line, which I got that from the social media. But then I saw this like waffle maker or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we, going hand in hand with this sort of cannabis like realm, we were like, where it sort of transcends over to the foodie space. So we decided to make a Burning Head Urkel waffle iron. And it was so much fun. People went crazy over it. And then we actually used it as part of our promos. So we created this whole activation to go to different celebrities' houses and make waffles, and cut to like this past launch. Our driver didn't show up. The cook didn't show up. So I'm like, thank goodness I grew up riding horses, driving huge truck and trailers, because I was driving a 28-foot Airstream around all over Los Angeles, and then like hopping in and like cooking waffles. And it was a pretty wild experience. But yeah, we decided, might have had some infused cannabis syrup in there, which is it was pretty fun.
So fun. So that's just like a little glimpse into sort of your brand management and marketing and how you step out of the box and do super cool things.
Thank you. I try to just be as off the wall as I can. And sometimes it feels like I'm throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. But when it's kind of done with the right intention, like it all sort of sorts itself out, like a dope waffle maker. It's really fun. I love our waffle maker.
That is so funny. So what do you love the most about what you do right now?
Oh, such a good question. My favorite moment is definitely when I have my clients say like, thank you. I could not have done this without you. Like, and seeing their dreams start to come true. And, we have a mutual friend, you and I, and it was pretty funny after like 4.5 years of friendship, she got really frustrated one day on the phone and was talking to me about like other people she was seeing. And, it's so easy for everybody to slip into the compare game. So she's like comparing like other stylists and this and that to where she is. She's like, I just need an agent. And I'm like, I started laughing. And she's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, this is literally what I do for a living. And she's like, oh, do you want to work with me? And I was like, I've been waiting for 5 years for you to ask me to be your manager, but like, yes. And so it's been really cool. Like for me to see all the wins over the last like 4 months of working together with her, and just everything that's kind of grown from there. So that to me is definitely my favorite part of my job, is just like seeing awesome people succeed and like getting that like, hey, I couldn't have done this without you. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, I don't know. I just love what I do. Yeah. I love this. This is
I mean, that's what all you could ask for, right? Is to love what you do. And so looking at yourself now, I know you're still pretty young and successful, but looking at yourself now and then sort of looking back at who you are like in childhood and stuff, and does it resonate with sort of where you are now? Or do you think like, oh my gosh, this is like total 360 of where I thought I would be? You know what I mean? Do you look back and say, yeah, this fits? Or is it, no, not at all?
Yeah. I don't think I never thought I would be in entertainment. That was a huge surprise to me. For sure. Huge surprise. But I was really lucky. Like growing up, my mom is a neuroradiologist and runs a residency program at Penn, and just worked her tush off. And I think she really instilled a lot of values. And I learned a lot from her, kind of that like hard work pays off, and you bet on yourself above all else. Like not to throw my dad under the bus, but like my mom definitely like is the boss of our family. Like she for sure makes more money than my dad, which like is you don't have to register your self-worth by that. But it was cool to see like, she would always say like, I would joke around that I was going to marry for money. And she was like, don't ever rely on anybody to do. And like, even though it was like a little harsh and aggressive, it kind of like, and like my therapist is still working through some things with me on some of this stuff, but like, it definitely instilled this kind of like bet on yourself and always bet on yourself type of mentality. So it doesn't surprise me that I have my own company now, but I never thought I'd be in entertainment. And I think most of what I learned from entertainment came from the show Entourage, if we're going to be really transparent. Oh my
God, I love that show. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
So, hey, listen, if you're living your life anything like Entourage, good for you, girl.
Having a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So you work really hard. You travel a lot. You have clients that you're, with a lot all the time. So what do you do for yourself on a daily basis to sort of keep yourself steady, to keep your mind right, to help your mindset? Like any daily practices or things that you do for yourself?
Yeah. So I think this is definitely still an area that I'm continuing to grow and learn in. I eating really well, and like yoga and soul cycle. And so health and well, like the fitness side of things. I also, I think the other thing is I give myself permission to like break down when I need to and not feel like everything always has to be perfect and like wonderful. And I also kind of made a promise to myself a while ago that like when someone says like, "Hey, how's it going? How you doing?" Like instead of just being like, "I'm great, I'm awesome, everything's wonderful," I'll actually give a genuine answer back, because I think like the more authentic you can be, like people so quickly are just like,
Totally.
"Oh, I'm awesome, I'm great," and like maybe you're not awesome and great. Like sometimes I'll be like, "I'm really tired, or my plate's kind of full right now, but hey, I'm here, and so I showed up, and let's do this thing." Like, and I think giving myself permission to be authentic with my feelings has really helped kind of keep a balance in my life. So, but good food, good exercise, and some awesome friends and family along the way have for sure helped.
Yes.
How about you? What do you do? Because I feel like you are like super mom, and I'm sure you've told your listeners this a million times, but yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Super mom.
Well, I'm certainly not super mom, but I tell myself that I am, and that's part of getting through it. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's really, I do believe that. I think so much of what we do is sort of what we tell ourselves on a daily basis, all of that. And I think we have talked about this before, right? Just even like you and I, it's just about that negative self-talk and quieting it and not letting it take over and taking things one day at a time, trying to be present. I mean, I have a daughter who just got her driver's license today, and she like pulled out of the driveway, and I like bawled my eyes out. I was like, oh. And then I just went about the rest of my day. But, just being present in those moments and being grateful for just being able to be here and see her drive away is, I think, and of course, add on the meditation and eating well and keeping myself physical and everything. But listen, I think everything's one day at a time, but I very much believe that it's all within our mindset that we have to, no one's perfect. There's never perfect days. You just have to tell yourself, you know what?
Yeah,
I got this. And you know what? Today's a new day.
Yeah, I did this really interesting exercise recently, which was like, if my thoughts in my head are a CD, right? And you've got each thought is a different song. What are my top 10? What's on my top 10 playlist?
Oh, I love it.
And started journaling it. And kind of every day I got a little more present to what was happening in my brain and just writing it down, right? And then like, it was really interesting to start to sort of acknowledge that like, when I say I'm tired, that was a big top 10 for me. Yeah. And I'm like, maybe I can just shift that. Like, I'm like, even like, or like, I am not eating meat. I don't know. Like I didn't eat enough today. Like I chose to like trying to put it into choice and a positive spin on that.
Yeah.
Like, those like top 10 things. So that was a really interesting exercise I recently did that definitely helped with my like shaping of my self-talk.
I love that because like I'm tired could be more like, I'm going to get more sleep tonight.
Yes,
because
totally.
Right. It's just, it's just completely reframing so many of the phrases that we say. And I catch myself all the time still. And even if I don't say it out loud, even if it's a thought in my head, I quickly try to reframe it because it makes such a huge difference. And once people start to realize that, changing our words are so significant in our lives. So changing our words can really, really change our whole day.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like for me, I have battled with like my own sobriety for a long time, and there'll be months that I'll go by and not drink. But instead of feeling like I was in a restrictive status, like restricting myself from drinking, it was even just saying, I actually am choosing not to drink today. And just that switch of being like, oh, I can't drink. Oh, no, I'm not drinking it. No, I'm putting myself in choice of not drinking, or I also try to be vegan as much as I can. So like trying to bring yourself into that presence and that choice around it, has really, really helped. So Anyway,
I love that. Even that short little that I'm choosing. I mean, what a difference it makes when you're like, oh, I can't. Because I mean, right? Who says that you can't? Right? That all of a sudden that it's like it's such a negative connotation and it makes you feel like, oh, you're missing out. Everyone else gets to, but you don't. But when you're choosing, not to eat meat or you're choosing not to have a drink, all of a sudden it's like, wait, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah. And you're in a state of power, and that's like, it really, really shifts. And so I think that's like kind of a more recent lesson, I would say, even over the last like 8 to 10 months, that's been really awesome for me to get present around, like that, creating like not only the mental talk, but also just the actions that allow me to be in a consistent state of choice versus like, I don't know, restriction and or, reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for AP Brand Group? What's next on the dream list?
Oh gosh. Next on the dream list, I recently actually just hired on an executive assistant, which was a really big thing for me. I'm learning on the delegation side. So I do have a team around me, which I feel so lucky about, but that was a big thing. Next coming up, just continuing to grow. I'm like very full on my client roster, which feels great, but always looking for new opportunities with them. Coming down the pipeline, heading to the Olympics. So that'll be pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah. Yes, I've got somebody going over there, and we've got a couple of big productions in place. I've got somebody in the new Adam Sandler movie. So that shoots here in Philly, which I'm so excited about. So we've got a couple cool things for the rest of 2021 happening.
That's so awesome. So exciting. Well, I think that sky's the limit for you, girl, because knowing you, and like I said, you're a powerhouse full of positive energy. I have no doubt that you and AP Brand Group are going to be just nothing but super successful in the future. And I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to watch the ride.
Oh, I so appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm just kind of taking it, like you said, day by day. I've got some big goals and some big dreams coming down the pipeline. But yeah, I don't know. I feel I've got really cool clients. And it was interesting. My mom said to me, because she works with all these residents, she's like, yeah, I guess like the Richter for happiness is, and I use quotations around that, is that 20% of your day is filled with, 80% of your day is filled with tasks that you have to do, and 20% of your day is filled with things you want to do and joy. And I'm like, you're at 10 and that's what you're telling people. I'm like, something feels very bizarre that like if 20% of your day is filled with things you want to do, that should mark that you're happy. I'm like, something that feels very bizarre to me. And I just like, to me, I think like 99% of my day is things that fill me with joy. Like the 1% is like billing, housekeeping, like, whatever things that like have to happen. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was so interesting. I kind of was I like that, like put me back on my haunches. I'm like, I need to reevaluate. I want to like evaluate where I fall on that.
Yeah. What is my percentage? I love that. But it is kind of interesting when you think like leading institutions, like that could be what they're telling people. Like, just be happy if you get 20%. Right. And it's really like, no, like, I mean, maybe flip it, maybe 80-20, right? But the 80% should be what you're really finding, where you're finding joy, what's making you smile, like all those things in your life. But thank you for sharing that, because that is so funny. It really is. And that's why I think every single one of us have to take responsibility for our own happiness. To your point, bringing it full circle to what you said in the beginning of the podcast, like it is on you. You don't have to rely on anyone else. And not saying that you can't find joy and happiness from other people, but it really is so important to realize that it really all does kind of lie within you, and you just have to tap into it. Right. And that's it. That's it.
Absolutely. Like allowing yourself, again, it's like that choice factor, right? Like I get people come from different circumstances. I get everybody's facing their own battles, their own hardships, but I do really believe that like happiness and joy is a choice. It doesn't come from the material goods that are around you. It doesn't come from like experiences. It's like, it's looking at a moment and saying like, it was even everything we just learned with COVID, right? Like, are you going to look at a situation like when a wall hits you, are you going to look and go, this is an opportunity for growth, or, oh shit, and just crumble. And like every moment should feel like an opportunity to level up for growth. And it's exhausting in a lot of ways to like live your life like that. But it's also like, we have one of today. And I know you've dealt with so much with your mom and, we have one of today. So like, why not make it the best? And people look at me and they're like, I think in your head is rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. And a lot of times there is, and I'm okay with that.
Like, because the alternative is not as cool. It's so much better to have rainbows and unicorns. And to your point, we're all going to have bad days, but it's really awesome once you start realizing that you're in control and decide that you're going to be happy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to continue to watch your journey. Thank you so much for sharing your story with all of my listeners today, because I think that you had so much great advice to share. And I loved hearing about you building this amazing company that you're building.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on and for hosting this podcast. And it was so fun. I was so honored to come on and get to catch up with you. It's been a little bit too long.
I know. Absolutely. So listeners can find your website is AP Brand Group, and they can find you on Instagram at Alexi Posner, right?
Yep. That's awesome. The easiest way to find me, apbrandgroup.com or at Alexi Posner on Instagram or at AP Brand Group on Instagram, and would love to connect with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, thanks for being here. And guys, if you want to reach out to Alexi, you know where to find her. You can find me at Suburban Warrior on Instagram, CrissyPiper.com. And thank you so much again for joining us on this episode. We are getting towards the end of season 2. So I'm so excited to have these amazing Suburban Warriors to share their stories with you. So thank you so much. And check it out next week. We'll have another Suburban Warrior story for you. Talk to you next week.